A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Welcome to another episode of Moon Monkey Podcast. On this episode we're going to do Silence of the Lambs, because it's been 25 years since Silence of the Lambs was released, because it was released February 1991. And it is probably a horror movie, you'd say. Definitely a horror genre.
Yeah, horror.
Directed by Jonathan Demme, who did
Philadelphia
and Manchurian Candidate. That's the only two I actually recognise from his IMDb.
Yeah, he did do those two big films.
And this.
Yeah. But this was a huge movie when it came out.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the biggest grossing movies. And surprisingly so, I heard, because they didn't expect a kind of hard 18 kind of pretty horrific film about serial killers to do so well. Yeah. But it became really popular. And it was a good thing for kind of Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins, who were already big stars, but this film kind of was
propelled them.
They were kind of iconic roles in this film. So based on the book by Thomas Harris, you maybe already know the story, but Clarice Starling's an FBI trainee. She's asked to go and interview Dr. Hannibal Lecter, who's been incarcerated for 8 years. Used to be a cannibal. Well, I suppose he still is a cannibal.
Just doesn't get to practice it as much.
Non-practicing. So she's asked to go interview him to find any information he could offer on the Buffalo Bill murders, who's another serial killer. Yeah, the structure is kind of interesting because Buffalo Bill is the main antagonist, but in a way it's more about Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling. Buffalo Bill's a kind of secondary villain.
Well, I think in the book it's more through Jane Gum, Buffalo Bill, but they didn't do that in the movie. It was more Clarice's viewpoint and Clarice's story.
Yeah.
From her point of view.
Yeah, it really does follow Clarice Starling through the film. You kind of get the sense of her evolving through this movie. So when we first see her, she's at the FBI training facility, and she's kind of a rookie. But I think she's the top of her class. They do mention that a couple of times, she's really good. But as you see, as she goes through the film, she gains confidence and she becomes a better agent. Do you want to talk about the cast of this film? Maybe we start with Jodie Foster, since she's the leading lady.
Yeah, we had Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling, who wasn't even the first choice. I think it was Michelle Pfeiffer.
Alright, I didn't know that.
I think it is Michelle Pfeiffer, but she turned it down because she thought it was too violent.
Yeah.
At the time, and also she was 10 years too old to play the part. But that wouldn't have stopped her. It was just the fact she was like, no, this is too violent, and I don't want to do this kind of movie. And then you had
went on to do Batman Returns.
And you had Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Hopkins. But originally it wasn't going to be Anthony Hopkins either. There was a lot of rumours about who it was going to be. I think there were. I don't know if this is true, but I read somewhere.
Well, Brian Cox played Hannibal Lecter in Red Dragon.
Yeah. In
the first version of Red Dragon they did, not the remake with Edward Norton. But yeah, Brian Cox. Everyone says he was a really good Hannibal Lecter. But
they wanted Sean Connery, which I can't really imagine would have been the same.
No, Sean Connery. That would have just. I don't think that would have worked.
And also,
I don't think he's intimidating enough.
some of the Bond girls he was, but. I think it was Gene Hackman had the rights to the movie, had the rights to the script, and they were thinking about Gene Hackman as Hannibal Lecter as well, but he also turned it down because of the violence. He was just like, I didn't want. He gave the rights away and didn't want to be part of the movie, which they'll probably both now regret, because this is obviously a very iconic movie.
A huge role. Anthony Hopkins, I think, did a great job as Hannibal Lecter, and obviously went on to play him in Hannibal as well. But yeah, a really kind of career-defining performance for him. I think it's everybody knows the scenes of him when he's in the facility. Yeah, just a great performance, really intimidating, sinister, but also kind of an intellectual as well. He's into classical music. He's into painting. I find that one of the most interesting things about this film, that even though he is a serial killer and a cannibal, I mean, I wouldn't say it's sympathetic towards him. But it's a weird thing, because it's he's really cultured and he loves kind of his Venice and Rome, and
But you are sympathetic to, because he's helping Clarice.
yeah,
And I think that gives the audience more of a sympathy towards him.
yeah, he's kind of a bad guy, but he's also a good guy on this case because he's trying to help them out.
Apart from when he
own...
does eat a guy's face off.
Yeah,
but yeah.
albeit he's trying to get his own way and things as well. Because you kind of, that's the thing. You have the guy Frederick Chilton, who's the head of the first facility, who seems like a real creep and an unlikable guy. So you almost feel like, oh, actually, I kind of sympathise with Hannibal Lecter because he's having to put up with this guy who just seems really terrible.
Yeah, Dr. Chilton's not a likeable guy.
No, he isn't. You kind of feel like at the end of the film, it's like, yeah, I hope he does eat him. I hope he does kill him and eat him because he's just really annoying.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.
But yeah, he was really good in it. And Jodie Foster, I thought, was a fantastic performance. Like, because throughout the film, as we said, she alters. She goes from being a naive rookie to being more confident. So the first time you go in and see her, compared to like the end of the film, like you can kind of see that she's really gained.
Yeah,
and she's not just playing like a kind of frightened female like you might get in a regular horror film. It does kind of play with that idea.
Yeah, I mean, especially at the end when she's in the house.
Yeah,
it does kind of revert to that, but she has a very kind of strong
have
character.
That with her and Lecter is like a monster and like the innocent lady, kind of like with something like Nosferatu where you've got the vampire and the woman. It's always like, oh, there's an evil, and it's always like a innocent lady who's the victim. But yeah, I thought like she does do that as well, but then she also plays a kind of stronger woman, strong female character through it. Yeah, and the guy Ted Levine, who plays James Gunn, Buffalo Bill, he gave a really good performance in this.
Yeah, which I think like says a lot, considering you don't really see a lot from him.
No.
Whereas like in the book, it's more. There's a lot more of his point of view, but it was more about. They just thought, how can we get his character across to the audience? Because he's not got a lot of interaction with anybody.
Yeah.
And it was just like, they were like, well, what...
And he's not a sympathetic character at all.
No, but they still get it across, and they're like, what clothes does he wear? Like, when they're trying to think about the character on set, they're like, what clothes does he wear? What jewellery does he wear?
Yeah.
What does he look like? What music is he like? And that all is part of his character in the end, because that's how they kind of get across his...
Yeah, he's really creepy in this. It's just his voice, his mannerisms, everything is like,
And he is actually based off of 3 different serial killers. Whereas like Hannibal Lecter is apparently not based on anyone. He's just a pure fiction. But
that was one of the things about this film, I think, the fact that it tackled like serial killers in that way and showed them that, they are psychopaths. Like there is nothing there. It's just an empty hole in the center of them. Like a lot of crime films, usually the villain is kind of going for money or power or something that the audience can relate to. So it's like, oh, he's the bad guy, but I can kind of see where he's coming from. But with Hannibal Lecter and Buffalo Bill, you just can't really get a handle on why they're eating people or why they're killing people. Yeah. Which that's why I think it was so powerful at the time. People thought, kind of shocked by that portrayal of serial killers. I suppose it had been done before, like films like Psycho have someone that's mentally unstable. But this was kind of particularly shocking, I think, when it came out. Yeah, like we were talking about with his characterization, with all the little details. Like one of the things we said was good about the film was there were a lot of little kind of background details, and they'd obviously put a lot of attention into kind of set design, costume design. So like I've only ever seen this before on DVD or on TV, but we went to see it on the big screen for like the re-release. And you notice kind of a lot of more things when it's up on the big screen.
Yeah, like, I appreciated it much more when I saw it on the big screen. Like I'd seen it on the TV like a lot because it's on quite a bit and it's been out for 25 years, so it's on now and again. And I thought, oh yeah, that's a decent movie, that's pretty good. But like, until I seen it the other night on the big screen, that's when I really thought, oh yeah, this is actually, I can see why people love this so much.
Yeah.
Like I always liked it, but this really made me appreciate it more when you see it fully up on the big screen.
Yeah. So like, and hearing the score as well, the music by Howard Shore is really good, and hearing that kind of
And you
as
love
it was meant to be
Howard
appreciated.
Shore.
Yeah,
You're a big fan.
Howard Shore did the music for Lord of the Rings, which I think was probably the first film I saw that... Well, that was probably the first film I saw. Usually, like, I was never that interested in even who directed films or who was doing the music. The only names that I would have known usually would have been actors when I was younger. I never paid too much attention to, like, who's doing the music or the directing. But Howard Shore, when I saw Lord of the Rings, was one of the first conductors that I thought, oh, like, I'll remember that name.
Yeah.
And then when I saw Silence of the Lambs again, I realised, oh, it's the same guy who did the Lord of the Rings music. But yeah, the score was really good, like, created a lot of tension. And
to Hannibal Lecter, down to the basement to meet Hannibal Lecter for the first time.
Yeah.
And that music's kind of really quite powerful as well.
Yeah.
And the same with, like, Buffalo Bill when you're around him as well.
Yeah,
at the end, it's really building suspense. It kind of
yeah, they just created the atmosphere really well. And also the film kind of shifts, I think, through a couple of different genres. I don't know, like we were saying, is it horror or thriller? Like at the start, there's a real kind of psychological thing where it's all about their voice and interactions and their conversation, which is building this kind of eerie feeling that something's not right. But then towards the end of the film, the second half, it becomes much more of like an straight out action crime thing. Like when he escapes and when she's going through the basement.
There is more violence in the kind of second half, and it does become more of a kind of standard horror film when she's in the house, I think.
Yeah.
And there's like, who's behind that door? What's going to happen?
Yeah, they kind of shifted from like shifted to a different genre, but it worked really well.
Because before it was more psychological, it's all in your head. Like all the violence is talked about is never shown, but you're just left to kind of think about it.
That's one of the most powerful things. When the first time I ever watched this film, the scene when Chilton shows her the photograph
of the nurse
that's been attacked by Hannibal Lecter, and you don't see the photograph, but you just see Clarice Starling's reaction to whatever it is he's showing her, and that's more powerful than if you'd seen it and seen just some gory special effects. It's like, oh, okay, that's fair enough.
Because you don't know what's happened to her.
Yeah.
But you can.
And also, like, if you'd seen it once, the next time you watch it, you'd know what's coming, so it's like, oh, I've seen that before. But because you never see it, your mind's still thinking, oh, like, what kind of horrendous image is that on the picture? And there's a couple of scenes like that when Hannibal Lecter's talking to her, and it's all just left up to your imagination, what happened or what went on. The same with Buffalo Bill, really. Like, you don't actually... I'm just thinking. You don't actually see him kill anybody.
No, you do see. You do see
a corpse.
You do see him cutting up some skin to make a bodysuit.
Yeah.
But apart from that, you don't actually see him.
You don't see him actually, commit murder.
Yeah.
But it's all kind of in your mind. And one of the scenes as well that I thought was good. The bit when he's got the girl in the truck and he's like cutting her dress up the back, but you're kind of thinking like, oh, that's going to be skin. Like he's going to do the same thing with her skin. So it's just like a sort of reference like in your mind. But yeah, like a really clever film. One of the things we haven't really touched on was the humour in the film. Like we laughed at a few points in it. I'm not sure if you're meant to, but
there is. But I think like because it's
some of it's definitely intentional.
There's little kind of bits in there that is poking fun at itself.
Yeah.
But also I think the comedy comes from the fact that it's been out for so long and it's such a big movie that a lot of different TV shows have kind of
riffed on the
and they've kind of poked fun at the Hannibal Lecter character, and
there's been a lot of parodies of it,
and the relationship between Hannibal Lecter and Clarice as well.
But I think he does have funny moments. One of the moments that was the obvious kind of joke was when it goes over the magazine with Bon Appetit on the cover just before he's about to eat the guy.
He's going to eat a guy's face.
So again, it's like that's was obviously an intentional joke there. But even some of the things Hannibal Lecter says are meant to be funny. Yeah. Because obviously he doesn't care. He's a psychopath. So, like, it doesn't bother him. There's so much carnage going on around him.
There's a lot of dark humour in there, definitely.
Yeah.
To watch out for if you watch it.
Yeah, if you're seeing it. The themes of the movie, as well as being kind of straightforward crime thriller, I think the film did touch on some things which are quite serious issues. And it had a lot, like, of depth behind it. It wasn't just a straightforward, like, oh, it's a woman hunting down a killer, and then she catches him, and that's the end. Like, throughout it, there are constant allusions to the fact that she's a female that's trying to survive in a kind of the man's world of the FBI, Especially some scenes where she's surrounded by the police officers and they're all looking down on her because obviously Jodie Foster's fairly short, so they were literally and perhaps metaphorically looking down on her as like, oh, you're a rookie.
Yeah, she has like she's a really strong female character, but at the same time, there's always the feeling that she isn't quite fitting in the FBI.
Yeah,
or maybe fitting in the world because she is a woman. Like you're saying with the deputies, they're in the scene where she first gets introduced to the deputies. They're all the guys are looking at her.
Yeah,
all the eyes are on her, and the same at like the FBI. All the different recruits are kind of always looking at her, and even Lecter as well. There's always an interaction between the two of them, and Dr. Chilton immediately hits on her.
Yeah,
as well. She's always seen as this kind of object.
That was the thing. Yeah, there's like a real sexual undertone running through the whole thing. I mean, all Buffalo Bill's crimes seem to have the kind of sexual violence running through them because he always attacks women, and he's trying to become like change into a woman. That's kind of his psychology. So, but also with when you first see Clarice Starling and she goes to see Hannibal Lecter and the guy throws his semen at her.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the aggressive jizz lobbing. I don't remember that at all.
So straight away you're thinking, oh, that's really unpleasant. And obviously if it had been a man, if Clarice Starling would have been a man, I don't think he would have done that. And also wouldn't have said to her what he said to her when she walked past him the first time. But yeah, that immediately you're kind of thinking, oh, it must be really difficult for her. So again, it makes you sympathise with the character because it's like, oh, yeah, she has a real struggle on her hands.
But then, as you're saying through it, she does kind of grow out of that.
Yeah,
and becomes like
but throughout it's playing on your mind. And one of the things that we discussed afterwards was Lecter tells her, oh, the Jack Crawford, your boss, is like just wants to get into your pants. He just wants to like have sex with you.
He was slightly more eloquent than that, but yeah.
But I think he was a lot more crude than that. It was like he just wants to have sex with you. And we were saying there's the bit when like he shakes her hand at the end, and you're kind of focusing on it, thinking, oh, is he making a move on her or something? But we were saying, is that just Lecter's kind of getting inside your head as the audience?
When we came out of it, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't like Crawford at all.
Yeah,
I was like, he was just using her.
But is it like Lecter's trying to turn you against him?
Because Crawford also says, oh, you don't want a Hannibal Lecter on your head.
Yeah,
and I was like, has he got to me?
That was I thought that was really clever. I hadn't noticed that before, but yeah, kind of your reactions to other characters are based on what Hannibal Lecter is telling you about people. Yeah. So even like Chilton, it's because Hannibal Lecter's saying like, yeah, he's horrible, and he puts the TV on really loud and does all this stuff that you're like, oh, I hate that Chilton.
Yeah,
because
Chilton doesn't seem like a nice guy anyway.
Yeah, you're totally falling for like Hannibal Lecter.
But like with Crawford, they had to cut a lot of Crawford stuff out. Apparently, in the first couple of drafts, they had a lot about Crawford's dying wife, which you don't really get in the movie.
Yeah.
Which maybe would add in more to the Crawford.
The movie does run pretty long, and it does cover a lot of ground, I think.
Yeah. Oh no, I think it's still. I don't think it really would have added anything to it, but it would have added more to the dimension of the relationship between Clarice and Crawford.
Yeah, I suppose that would add something there.
But I didn't like Crawford. I think.
But that's the thing with all of these characters. You feel like they've got a good backstory. Like you could easily just go into more information about them, but the film just leaves you pondering a lot of what their psychology is.
But I think a lot of it is dependent on the point of view and how the male characters are looking at Clarice as well.
Yeah.
Because you've got like Buffalo, you see a lot of things through Buffalo Bill's eyes, especially like the night vision goggles. You're seeing like his point of view. That's a very rare time you do kind of see it, is when he's going to capture somebody. So you're seeing it from the killer's point of view.
Yeah. I think you also see Clarice's point of view when she's walking down to Lecter. Like there's a couple of ways different characters' viewpoints.
But it's always like how they're kind of ogling her, really, in a way.
Yeah. But there is always that male-female dichotomy of like men and women, and that relationship like plays a lot on that. And also the theme of change is really big in the movie. Like the main killer, Buffalo Bill, is attempting to, like, he's not a transvestite, but he wants to become a woman. But then Lecter says no, he doesn't really. He's not really a transvestite. He's just really messed up and doesn't really know what he wants. Yeah. But that's kind of in his mind. He's thinking like, oh, I want to be a woman. Yeah. So yeah, there's that third thing of change, and there's the other, the body that she finds, who is a transvestite who was killed by Lecter. So that's running all the way through that theme.
No, he wasn't. He was killed by Buffalo Bill.
Oh yeah, he was killed by Buffalo Bill. He was one of Lecter's patients, earlier patients.
That head, the head in the jar, I think, is one of the producer's heads. But a mould of it, they didn't kill the producer. I haven't just solved the murder.
Well, that's quite interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true either. That's a bit like the Sean Connery thing. I just read that. I don't know if that's true.
Just throwing facts out there.
There's no way of knowing unless I go and find that producer, make a mould of his head and put it in a
jar of formaldehyde and see what it looks like.
There's no way I can verify this, but I think it's
because we have like the butterflies running through it as well, and the death's head moth that they find in the person's mouth, which again it changes from a pupae into a butterfly
or a pupae.
The significance of the moth is change. Caterpillar into chrysalis or pupa, and from thence into beauty.
Or into a moth. And then at the end, you see the two. You see the two butterflies turning into one butterfly as the thing kind of rotates. There's like two butterflies and then one. So it's kind of is that Buffalo Bill and Clarice have now just become like Clarice. So Clarice has, in a sense, Clarice has, what's the word? Evolved, graduated, like become what she was intending to be.
It's been a metamorphosis.
Yeah, that was the word I was looking for. She's metamorphosized into the successful, confident FBI agent, whereas Buffalo Bill never achieved what it was he wanted to achieve. Because he's dead.
Yeah.
So that's kind of playing off at the end of the film as well. Would you recommend this film?
I would. I mean, I don't really like horror movies to a huge extent. I mean, I've appreciated them more recently, but
I don't think this is.
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Though it's not really what I would say a horror movie because it's more psychological.
Yeah,
and I think that works a lot more. And after seeing it on the big screen, I do think
because there aren't too many shock moments or gross out moments. There's blood in it, but I wouldn't say that it's overly gory.
No, it's not really at all.
It more plays on the psychological aspect of it, and it really has some great characters in there. The sympathetic, make you want to see what their story is and where they've come from. You get a little bit of Clarice's backstory in it, and I thought that was good, which you don't maybe get in regular crime films about the police's background.
And I think because it had Clarice as the main kind of investigator, who does really solve it by herself. Yeah, because
well, they don't trust her at first.
Yeah.
He sends her in to Lecter and doesn't really even tell her what she's in there for. Yeah,
almost. But I think she kind of shows that she is even better than Crawford, albeit she does have the help of Hannibal Lecter kind of giving her little hints and tips. But I think the film has quite strong female character. Even Catherine Martin, who's captured by Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Which I think, in horror movies before,
she does try to escape.
Yeah, she's fighting back.
Some ideas of getting out of there.
She kidnaps Precious.
Yeah.
Down the well.
It kind of plays with horror movie tropes and ideas that have been in horror movies before this. We have like we say, the girl being kind of hunted by the monster, but then kind of turns it on its head at the end because it's she manages to get him.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend it. I think if you haven't seen this movie already, it's probably one of the best movies out there, especially in this genre.
And if you get a chance to see it on a big screen, it's well worth it because, like Matt says, it's good with the relationships between the characters. It's more about that than the horror or the gore. It's more about Clarice and Lecter.
Characters.
Yeah. And it's very quotable as well.
Yeah. Well, tune in next time for our review of Anomalisa.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. Yes, you will, Precious. You will get the hose.